that dog won't hunt. That's a Southern expression, which, along with you're barking up the wrong tree, I suspect, means that's not going to work. I had a discussion with Dan Pena the other day where he said that model will never make chunks of money. Short, sweet, to the point, and absolutely right. And so when I look at deals and I look at people and board members, many times we all hang on to deals that we should have turned the key on, people that we knew were the wrong choice that we should have let go or ended a relationship with. But we either convince ourselves, well, I can turn this around, it's going to change, I got so much money in this deal, boy, I can't walk away now. Those are all bad choices. Most of the time, the hard choice is the best choice. And most of the time, trusting your gut is a really good method of looking at things. I've hung on to a deal that I knew in my heart, not going to work. But I had money involved, time involved, people involved, and said, well, maybe somehow I can turn this around, when I knew pretty much that wasn't going to work. And so I've learned from those lessons. If you're going to fail fast, turn the key, move on to something that will work. You know, a good example of that is when you look at profit margins. And we say when we're consolidating in QLA, to focus on margins of 20% minimum. That's gross margins. And let's think for a second about the importance of that. If you want to generate $1 million in profit and you have a 10% margin business, you need $10 million in sales. 10 million times 10% equals $1 million. Pretty simple math. If you have a 50% margin business, to generate the same million, you only need $2 million in sales. 2 million times 50%, million. So you have to have 5 times the sales with a 10% margin as you do with a 50% margin. And sales are hard to come by. So think about that. Think about the importance of that and the importance of making sure that your deal works. As I said, I've hung on to deals far too long. I was involved in a fitness deal. Sounded like a great idea, but once again, I taught myself I am not my avatar. The market I was going after, the proposition that we were selling made tons of sense to me, but the sector that we were going after didn't make as much sense to them. So again, I would suggest that you write an obituary. At the end of writing that obituary, look back and say, okay, is that a plan that I could be comfortable with and think that that was a life well lived? Is that something that is going to work? Is it going to generate the profit? Is it going to generate the satisfaction? Is it going to make an impact on the world? If you want to put it in those terms, is the world a better place because of what I did? And if the answer to that is no, then come up with a plan that does satisfy that criteria. If the answer is yes, then get on with doing it. Now, you can be the most productive guy in the world. You can follow the Ivy Lee method that I've talked about, the self-journal method that I've talked about, and be super productive. But if you're super productive on a deal that won't work and doesn't get you to where you want to get to, you've basically just run laps. And that is not something that any of us want to do, unless for some reason you're in it for the cause and you don't care about profit. But I don't know too many people who actually feel that way. So I would encourage you to go through that exercise of writing your obituary. Pick the industries. Look for what you can do first, better, different. If you want real heavy hitters, as Dan said, on your board, most of those people are not going to be interested in being an also-ran. They're going to be interested in what can we do to change a marketplace? What can we do to take market share from sector that aren't performing? Most of the time that comes down to customer service. But I think it's really important to focus on that, or you actually don't think it's really important. It is really important to focus on that. So go ahead, write an obituary, look at your deal, make sure it works, and then get productive on that. And as you go forward, we all say what gets measured gets done if it's actioned. So Put some milestones in place, hit those milestones, or determine why you haven't hit those milestones. And as long as that plan is working and viable, keep working it hard. If you find that that dog won't hunt, turn the key on it and move on to something that will. Really important lesson about not wasting time, which as I get older, I value time much more than capital, although I do value capital as well. Okay, so if you have any questions or comments or ideas for future episodes, please email bruce@brucewhipple.com. And if you're not already on our mailing list, head over to brucewhipple.com and sign up and grab any of the free reports. That'll put you on the mailing list. There is a lot of free information you can use to acquire already profitable businesses. This is Bruce Whipple. Thanks for listening to the Business Acquisition Podcast. And remember, you miss 100% of the opportunities you failed to take. And procrastination truly is the thief of time. So do something today, please. Your future self will be proud of you.